Rain of Troy Hotline.
Alicia, Michael, what's going on?
We know you have takes. We have takes.
I'm actually surprised that your rant line, rave line, whatever, isn't completely full.
Why can't we just win a game?
Can I blame Michael Castillo for this?
Can I blame Bob Connolly for this?
Could I put on a zebra shirt and just go out there?
Scratch, claw, up against the wall.
Can't explain it what I'm feeling right now, guys.
I can't believe it.
Let's open up that rave line! Woohoo! Oh, I can't believe USC is 7-5 again. Oh no!
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Rant Line Radio, episode 568, coming to you on Monday, October 21st. We're going to talk about the latest and greatest, or maybe not, in USC football. The 3-4 USC Trojans after the loss to Maryland. We're going to listen to your rants, open up a mailbag, talk about what's wrong with USC, and so much more. As always, email address, rantoftroyfanside.com, phone number, 818-643-7227, Second Whisper and Show. I'm your host, Michael Castillo, journalist, with my co-host here in the Rant Line studio in Los Angeles. On the other side of the room, Alicia D'Artola.
Hello, everybody.
Hello. We are back. A little bit of change of pace. Did we put this in the rundown? I don't think we did put this on the rundown. We did. So I think we just sort of go right into this. SC is changing up the schedule this week. No media is allowed to watch practice. There will still be media availability, but no media to watch practice. Although media couldn't watch practice anyways. It's no media to watch stretches. There's like 15 minutes of stretches you could watch, and that's it, basically, like warm-ups. There's no viewing of warm-ups now. And so not only is SC changing up the schedule, we're changing up the schedule a little bit too. News came out that the SC Washington game next weekend is at 4:30 p.m. Pacific on the Big Ten Network. We have an announcement. Alicia?
Yes?
We're not doing the CarCast.
We are not doing the CarCast. That is correct.
No CarCast. No CarCast.
We are very sorry about that, but we did make a decision this week that, I mean, you can explain. I can explain it if you want. You can explain it too.
Yeah, so do this? We're going up to Seattle for the game. It's the first time, like, for me, it's the first time in 10 years. For you, it's like the first time in like 8 years, 7 or 8 or 9 years, something like that. Mm-hmm. But the first time in a long time that we're going to a USC game with our friends and family to sit in the stands as fans, not in the press box. We're not staying home. And, you know, it's friends and family time for us. A lot of family and stuff like that. So we are going to essentially take the week off from a CarCast. There'll still be an episode, Fallout episode. After that, it is the bye week after the Washington game, but no CarCast. And there will be a preview, obviously, but no CarCast. So.
Yeah, and we've talked about maybe doing some, like, while we're there, you know, content that we maybe record on our phones or something like that and throw out there if it feels fun and worth it. But really, yeah, it's you know, doing this for a whole season it's a lot, even if things are going well. And when things are going not well, it becomes even more of a lot. And that's not necessarily why we're doing this. I think we might have considered not doing the CarCast from a logistical perspective anyways. But I think that the direction that the season is going in, plus our very rare opportunity to, like, this is the first Saturday I've taken off work in 8 years during college football season. So, you know, I think we rarely get this opportunity. So we're going to take it. We're going to enjoy ourselves and still try to feed you guys some content from that. But you'll have to sort of wait around for the Fallout episode for our full thoughts on the game.
Yeah, I thought that maybe we could do like a like a vlog.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, do we really want to be vloggers? I don't know. If nothing else, maybe there'll just be like a 1 minute TikTok or YouTube video or YouTube Shorts or Twitter video or something.
Hey, maybe we'll jump on like Twitter Spaces at halftime or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
It really depends on how the game is going and how we're feeling, to be quite honest.
Yeah. Mississippi Trojan in the chat says, "Well, enjoy the atmosphere. SC is going to get dog walked." Good pun, dog walked, playing the Huskies. But like, let's be honest.
This is the thing. Does this team get dog walked, or does this team just lose in the last minute?
No, we text our family that's up there, and like, I'm so glad you're going to the game. Guaranteed, you're going to see a game that goes to the final minute. That's cool. Our essentially our two little nieces, 4 years old, going to their first USC game ever. Guaranteed to watch a game that goes to the last minute. Which maybe that's not good for a 4-year-old, but it's kind of great for your first game, right?
Well, and at least it's a game against it's a game at 4:30. That's the other thing that we should be in the news that I didn't throw in there. It's the game has been announced for 4:30 p.m. on Big Ten Network. So, we avoided a 7:30 kick, which would have been difficult for our friends with the, young children. And, we get to go have a nice evening in Seattle. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So, anyways, let's talk about this week. Practice. No media availability. Viewing availability of the warm-ups.
Yeah, the big thing is for me that there will still be media availability in terms of interviews after practice. It's just the media won't be allowed inside the gates at Howard Jones Field, which is for me, like, the timing of it. It's weird. A lot of people are speculating about whether this means that perhaps there might be a quarterback change in the works. I certainly think that's a possibility.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised if this was trying to keep reps, who's taking what reps under wraps, or
a lot of injuries,
some sort of injuries or whatever it is. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if this is related to it, but I'd also point to, for no discernible reason, and certainly for a program that is not facing the heat and a coach that is not facing the heat that Lincoln Riley is, and is not making a quarterback change. Dan Lanning up at Oregon has also closed practice for this week in Eugene. And they didn't just come off a loss.
Yeah.
They didn't, they are facing a ranked opponent, but it's not like they didn't do it for Ohio State. So sometimes these things happen. The fact of the matter is most practices across the country are closed. So it doesn't have to be a big deal, but it's the timing. I think the timing does pique your interest a little bit.
Right. I don't think it's a big deal because it was already closed off practice. You could only see warm-ups. So from one standpoint, if this is about a quarterback change, could you even tell the quarterback change from warm-ups? Like, they could have found a way to hide that from anyways. But number two, I don't think this is a big deal. This doesn't matter. If practice was open and then they did this, that's a different story. But practice wasn't open to begin with. So this doesn't change anything, really. And this is also there was a post that went viral on USC Twitter this week about Lincoln Riley on the sideline and whether or not he was in huddles and whatnot. And you and I had this discussion yesterday. This is one of those things where when you're losing, it pisses people off. And this is another reason why they're losing, right? When you're winning, you look at that and you go, well, this is another reason why this guy is smart. This Lincoln Riley guy, he's smart the way he manages this stuff. It's the same thing with closing practice. And you look at the Dan Lanning stuff, does the same exact stuff that Lincoln Riley does. When you're winning, you're a genius. When you're losing, you're an idiot. That's how it goes.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's the same thing.
Games.
Like, Dan Lanning's a genius for putting 12 men on the field and running clock and gaming the system. And if that play had backfired and Oregon had intercepted the ball or something had happened and it backfired on them, then he would look like an idiot. But guess what? It worked and they won the game. So he's a genius. These things are always results oriented. And that's the truth. If you win, people care a lot less about the little things that you do.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's get into talking about SC and Maryland. You have some sort of things to talk about USC's offense. Well, sorry. First of all, no, we got to go to the rants. Sorry, we got Rant Line calls. Here's what you guys had to say after SC and Maryland.
This is Marcelo from Portland, Oregon. I'm watching Maryland drive right now. I don't know what the outcome's going to be. The truest thing that is said in the Reign of Troy intro every week, the truest line, the one I feel the most, I'm going to say it now, a little bit differently than the original guy said it. Why can't we just win a game? Why can't we just win a game? Why can't we just win a game?
Hey, Reign of Troy, this is Jackson in Arizona.
Rich from San Diego.
Hey guys, this is Michael in the 563. I gotta say, this movie's getting real old.
I mean, what can you say? This team knows how to lose.
I don't know if they're jinxed, if they're just a bad team. I mean, bad teams find ways to lose games, and that seems to be what we're doing.
Lincoln Riley is in over his head, period.
John from Oakland, I'll have to say, $30 million. $30 freaking million. $30 million for this guy.
I always thought that if I was calling this phone number, it would be because I was angry, and that's not the case. I'm calling because after 15 years of Kiffin being a troll, Sark's problems, Helton being himself, and now whatever is going on with this current incarnation of the team, the fact is I don't even care anymore. I'm not even really that disappointed or surprised. It's over. Don't care anymore.
Fight on.
Fight on.
Fight on. I'm not saying fight out.
A little bit shorter, but I think apathy has set in Troy for sure.
The voices were definitely down.
Yeah, undoubtedly.
Yeah, and I can't blame them. I've been down bad all weekend. I feel that the last caller, I think, sort of hit the nail on the head. It's like I was really angry on Saturday night, and then the anger sort of washed away, and I was just left with this deep and abiding sadness.
Yeah, Alicia, I can relate. Down bad this weekend because unfortunately Liverpool beats Chelsea. Controversially, no penalty called on the Jadon Sancho play. Controversially, but honestly, like I'm feeling good right now because last week we talked about the Saquon Barkley thing over at Underdog Fantasy.
Yeah.
Remember it was 88 yards?
It was 88 yards.
Alicia, he had like, was it 176?
It might have been even more than that. I want to say it was 180 something.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Which leads me to tell you guys that, like, get on that over at Underdog Fantasy. Went up to 1,000 times your money just by choosing whether you think your favorite players, like Saquon Barkley, will go higher or lower than their snap projections. Making picks on Underdog is straightforward, and signing up is even easier. Just head over to Underdog's simple-to-use mobile app or UnderdogFantasy.com. Sign up with promo code Reign of Troy, which is right there. Right, see it down there? That's the code. Underdog will give you a free pick to use on your first cash pick'em entry, plus up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you deposit. That's Underdog Fantasy promo code Reign of Troy to claim your new customer special of a free pick, and your deposit offer must be 18 plus, 21 plus in Massachusetts and Arizona, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit ncpgambling.org. In Arizona, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT-STEP to 53342. And in New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY to 467-369. Alicia, let's talk. USC and Maryland, the Trojans, have a losing record, not just this season. They're 3-4. Losing record in the Big Ten. They're 1-4. A losing record in the last calendar year. They're 5-7, I believe. 5-9 in their last 14 games. Alicia, talk to me. Talk to me about your thoughts right now.
I'm down bad.
I know.
I'm down bad. You live with me, so you know this too. I was also sleep deprived this weekend, so I think that's contributing to my down badness in general. But I think what frustrates me the most is that I sort of had a realization this weekend that so you and I have this thing where we get annoyed when people turn out to be right, but for like not for the wrong reasons, but it's when people are correct but not right. Like,
yeah, like this is my number one pet peeve in life.
Yeah,
it's like I'm going to use a Ryan Abraham food analogy, right? Like, shoot, I didn't have one prepared. It's like you go to McDonald's and you're like, McDonald's is not healthy. That's correct. And then you're like, McDonald's is not healthy because the snack wrap isn't as few calories as it used to be. And it's like, yeah, you're right. But
that's
like,
also not why McDonald's is.
That's not why McDonald's is not healthy. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
like you're right, but you're not correct. You're correct, but you're not right. You know what I mean?
So it's like, I mean, my thing is like, I got it wrong. I got it wrong on Miller Moss earlier this season because Miller Moss has now proven over the last 2 games that he doesn't have, or that he's not making the plays that he needs to make in the critical moments.
Yeah.
But like, so I have people victory lapping in my mentions on Twitter or whatever. But to me, it's like, okay, writing him off after 3 games when he was playing well, to me, that was crazy. And me being the optimist, I tend to look at things from a more positive perspective and see the potential for good. And so that's why
dirty sunshine pumper.
Well, that's why I sort of look at things that way. And then over the course of 2 games with the evidence in front of me, I changed my mind on Miller Moss because of the evidence that's in front of me. Some of it I'm going to talk about right now, about what's going wrong with USC's offense. But it's like, and it's going to be like, inevitably, when Jaden Mayava gets his chance and like, let's say he goes crazy, he's crazy good, and it's a Sam Darnold revolution, all that kind of stuff. Like, there's going to be a ton of people who are like, see, I told you. And it's like, well, yeah, but like at the time, you know, the things are true what they are now versus what they were 3 weeks ago. Like, it's I don't know. It's just like, it just gets very frustrating. But all of this is to say, I realized something about myself over this weekend. On Saturday, I talked about the idea that, you know, USC's coaches have needed to have a dark night of the soul by getting fired by USC and having to sort of have it come to Jesus moment or whatever. And that my fear with Lincoln Riley is that we're just headed for another one where you take a good coach, whether you think he's a good head coach or not is for everybody to decide. But I think that Lincoln Riley is at least a Cliff Kingsbury mold of person where even if he never sort of transforms himself into a good head coach, I think, you know, what Cliff Kingsbury's doing with the Commanders as an offensive coordinator right now is proof that he is a good coach at the offense. But my fear is that Lincoln Riley is going to end up being like the failure at USC is going to end up spurring him on to do better somewhere else. And, talking about dark nights of the soul. And I had like a dark night of the soul over this weekend in terms of just like my feelings about, being a fan. And what I realized is that I tend towards optimism and I tend towards trying to rationalize and make sense of things. Because when I can no longer rationalize and when I can no longer find a silver lining and when I can no longer trust in the reasons that I have for positivity or optimism, I end up in a very bad place as a fan. You get sort of despairing in a way that I don't like to be. And, there's a lot of question about for my own personal psychology, should I let sports get me this down? And the answer is probably no. But I also am somebody I'm prone to depression. I'm on antidepressants for a reason. And antidepressants are very good for me because I am prone to depression.
You're also a sucker.
I'm a sucker, but I get depressed when I'm not on antidepressants. I get depressed for no reason at all. Just, I feel down and I don't have a reason for it. And the good thing about sports depression is that, yeah, I feel down, but at least I know exactly why. I know exactly why I feel this way because USC is what they are and USC does this to me every year because I'm a damn sucker and I keep going back to this program that just wants me to hurt. At least it feels that way. Even when USC makes the right decision, when Lincoln Riley got hired, what did we love about it? That USC went out and hired a big fish who was coveted by others, who had clear success, who was at the top of his game, all that kind of stuff. For once, USC did that. And it was the right hire. And then you still end up exactly where USC always seems to be. So it just sort of, it's very frustrating on that front. To stop ranting, do you have any thoughts on that, or can I get into what's wrong with USC's offense?
I don't really have any thoughts. It's been said. I've said a million times over. You judge coaches in two phases, right? Said this since we started podcasting a decade ago. When you get the hire and as the tenure goes, right? USC's hiring of Lincoln Riley was their best hire in 100 years.
Since Howard Jones.
Yeah, objectively. If you don't agree with that, then you don't understand the history of USC football. It is. Undoubtedly it is. Now, the tenure, as the tenure panned out, to this point, no. I think there's, we sat here a week ago and said that I think the program was going in the right direction because, for those first 6 games, SC was 3-3, but I don't think we were wrong in saying that SC looked better in those first 6 games than they did a year ago.
Yeah.
And it's not that the Maryland game was different than that. It wasn't decidedly different, but Maryland was the closest opponent to Utah State, that a team that SC beat 48-0, that SC has played since then, right? And so it is one thing to throw a game away against the number 4 team in the country, a team that literally anybody in the country could have been in that situation and thrown that game away because it's a top 5 team, right?
Yeah.
It's a different thing to puke all over yourself against a Maryland team that has been god-awful in the fourth quarter, had a head coach strip the offensive coordinator of play calling, hadn't won in a month, was winless in the Big Ten, all of that stuff, right? And we talk a lot about clunkers, right? Win your clunkers, all that kind of stuff. I think there's a world in which you could say the Maryland game is SC's clunker strictly on eye test because it was their worst performance on eye test. But if SC was really going to turn this around after the 3-3 start, then the Minnesota game needed to be the clunker.
Yeah.
Like, the Minnesota game is a frustrating game because Minnesota's not a world beater. They're not Penn State. So you can't sit here and say, well, they didn't close out against a top 5 team. You can't say that with Minnesota. But the Minnesota game was weird in that there were a lot of aspects that SC played very well in that game. Why did they lose? Because they shot themselves in the foot repeatedly. And, I guess credit to PJ Fleck's decision to make the game like a 3-possession game. It was 9 possessions, but you know what I mean? Like, there were so few possessions in that game that it made every error that SC had twice as big, right? But like we said, there were things to see in that game where SC had things that were positive. They ran the ball well, for instance, right? In the Maryland game, I don't think that you can really say any of those things. Yeah, Miller Moss made some nice throws in the first half. He botched the first rollout and then hit like the next 3, and those were really nice. But like, there's the really bad interception, and then there's the block field goal, and there's still the 4th down stuff. Like, again, against Maryland, this isn't Penn State, it's Maryland, and no discredit to Maryland, but they're not Penn State. They're not even Indiana this year, right?
Not even close to Indiana.
You know what I mean?
No, they're not at all. And you're right. It was not a good performance. And even if you do have the bad performance, you still need to win when you have a 14-point lead in the fourth quarter. That's just the case. So I didn't rewatch the game because, again, if you guys didn't notice, I'm down bad and I couldn't bring myself to it. But I did decide that instead of rewatching the game, I wanted to sort of just go back and examine what exactly is going wrong for USC's offense in the final 2 drives of these games. Because I think we all agree that USC isn't getting the job done on the last drive, obviously. But my perception has been that USC is failing to put the game away on the second to last drive as well. And
which would help the defense on their last drive.
Yes. And would put the game further out of reach and shored things up and all that kind of stuff. And so USC's performance on the second to last drive might be even a bigger problem than USC's performance on the last drive. So I went through the box scores and the play charts and looked at a few games as well. Look at a few plays at the end of games just to see what exactly was going wrong in those games. And I came away with, just to quickly go through some of my my findings. Let's talk about the last drive just to start with, because I think USC is really dropping the ball on the last drive. USC is 1-0 when the defense gets a stop before USC gets the ball for the last drive. That's the one stop was the field goal stop against LSU. And USC is 0-4 when the defense gives up a touchdown the drive before. So we talk a lot about like the defense being impacted by the offense not going out and giving them help. But it seems to me that the offense is being potentially impacted psychologically by the here we go again-ness of the defense. There are too many critical errors on these final drives, and I think the big thing that I came away with, aside from there's like false starts and breakdowns on the offensive line that are obviously a problem. Miller Moss against LSU was 5 of 6 for 49 yards on the final drive. USC's final drive there was 6 passes, 2 rushes, 49 yards passing, 17 yards rushing. The runs were good, but the passing was also very good on that drive. And LSU made the critical error with targeting. Since then, since that game, in these one-score games, Miller Moss is 12 of 25 on the final drive. He has thrown 2 interceptions. That's not cutting it. If you wanted to boil down my my issue with Miller Moss right now, it is this. You need to be able to have that killer instinct, and it looked like he had that killer instinct against LSU, and I don't know what happened because his performance on these against Michigan, that was tough. Big house, there was a lot going on. The offensive line was terrible. That was just a terrible, the drive, the vibes were all off aside from the quarterback. Minnesota, that interception, we say, okay, that happens at the end. You can write that off if he goes on to perform well at the end of the Penn State and Maryland games, but he doesn't. Again, he misses the throw against Penn State, leads to an interception, game over. Against Maryland, the throw to Woody Marks should catch the ball, but the throw also puts him in a spot where the defender is there to make that play. It's just not. It's not a great placement on that ball to create a catchable ball. That's an issue. So USC is losing these games on these final drives. Now, to be fair, USC comes into these final drives trailing, tied, trailing, tied. And that's because the defense has literally not prevented a team on these drives before USC's final drive. USC's defense has not prevented a team from scoring. The best they've done is forcing LSU to a field goal. That is the best they've done all season. Michigan scores a touchdown. Minnesota scores a touchdown. Penn State scores a touchdown. Maryland scores a touchdown. That's the defense is not helping at all. But then it's like, okay, second to last drives. Is the offense helping the defense? Let's look at what's happening. A lot of people are complaining that USC is not running the ball on that second to last drive. Put the game away. Run the clock. All of those kinds of things. I'm sorry to say that I think you can only make that accusation from one game, the Minnesota game. And I went through that game in detail at the time, so I won't do it again. But that's 3 passes, intentional grounding. The offensive line bears responsibility for that as far as I'm concerned, but maybe USC should have run. If they run and the offensive line blows their blocks, then it's the same result. So I don't know. But the rest of the games, the criticism of not running the ball enough, it doesn't track because USC is running the ball and passing the ball in equal measure. And against Maryland, everyone wants USC to run the ball, but the drive before the Maryland's go-ahead drive, what does USC do? They run on first down for a 3-yard gain. They run on second down for a 1-yard loss. And then they're in 3rd and 8, I think. And they have to pass. And Mekhi Lemon gets close, but he doesn't get there. So this idea that USC can just run the ball whenever they want, that's not what's happening. That's not what's happening. They're trying, when you see them run the ball in these situations, USC is in a good spot when the runs work and a terrible spot when the runs don't work. Because again, this is not about, to me, play calling. This is about execution. It really just does come down to execution. Case in point, Penn State. People talk about how the offense doesn't give the defense support at the end of these games. Against Penn State, USC's offense puts together a 7-play, 75-yard drive that eats 4 minutes and 54 seconds off of the clock. Miller Moss is 3 of 4 for 39 yards and a touchdown. The running game is 5 for 34 yards. Everything is clicking. They're all going together. Offense in a tie game, 23-23, offense goes out and gets the touchdown that they need. What happens next? USC's defense gives up 2 fourth down plays and a touchdown. So it's not just the offense, because even when they do what they need to do for the defense gives it up. And it's not just the defense, because against Minnesota, they go 3 and out. Against Maryland, they go 3 and out. Against Michigan, they go 3 and out. But those 3 and outs aren't because USC is exclusively passing. It's because there is not execution across the board, whether you're passing or running. Against Michigan, they go 3 and out, 2 passes and 1 run. The 1 run gets stuffed for 2 yards, and the 2 passes are both attempts to create extended handoffs for Woody Marks. And they both get blown up in the end zone. There's like an RPO where there's guys in the back of the end zone in Miller Moss's face. at the mesh point. So that play was never going to work, whether you're going to run or pass. And then on the third down, they try that little shovel pass thing. Again, maybe you're getting too cute or whatever, but when your offensive line is as unreliable as USC's offensive line is, I don't know that just run the ball more fixes your problem. Just execute better fixes your problem. And I think, I wish I could have gone and looked at these plays and said, yes, what USC needs to do is simply run the ball more, because that would be the easiest solution. But that's not the actual solution, because when they go out and run, if the offensive line isn't on it, it literally doesn't matter. So it's very frustrating. And I came away with the unfortunate determination that USC is losing these games in complete and total team efforts.
Yeah.
Special teams, offense, defense.
Mm-hmm.
No one is getting the short end of the straw because they're all giving each other the short end of the stick.
Well, we talked about that in the CarCast. That's this game, SC wins it if they don't have a field goal blocked. The field goal block essentially wins the game. Last week was the interception for Miller Moss. Minnesota, it's the offensive line gets blown up in a bad opportunity, in a bad moment when they had a good game in a lot of different areas, not completely. Michigan, it's the defense giving up the long run. Like, it's something else. There is a bit of whack-a-mole. I think that from the fan perspective, I think the frustrating part, and I understand why people say, just run more. Run more, that'll fix it. If you run more, that'll fix it. I understand, because that is a tangible solution.
Well, because people can point to the yards per carry and say, well, look, see, you get 5 yards a pop. And it's like, you're not getting 5 yards a pop.
But if something is tangible, I am someone who likes statistics. I like statistics. I like understanding things scientifically, logically, all those things. And so I get it. I want something that's to be tangible, but this isn't tangible. Like, why does SC need to SC gets better by executing in key moments? That's not a tangible thing. Like, it's not. Like, will changing the quarterback fix things? It could. I don't know that there's not overwhelming evidence that it will.
It's not guaranteed that it will, but I will say, after looking at those 5 games and the performance of the current quarterback in those 5 games, in those final drives, I don't know if Jaden Mayava will be better, but I do know that 4 times out of 5, Miller Moss was not good enough. Therefore, sure. I am okay with the idea of, well, let's see what the other guy does. I think we're at that stage.
And it's the other thing, though. We talk about being right for the wrong reasons or correct, whatever. However I wish someone could phrase it better than what we're doing. I think there's a little bit of that I have a bone to pick with you about the Miller Moss stuff. I agree. I think Miller Moss's performance in some of the second halves hasn't been good enough, right? The interception against the 3 interceptions, really, right? Like the 3 backbreaking ones. The 4 backbreaking ones. Yeah. The Minnesota tip, even though I don't think that's his fault. That's on the old line. The pick 6 against Michigan, the really bad throw against Penn State, and the really bad throw against Maryland. All of those, he gets at least 50% for the pick 6. He gets 100% for the other 2, right?
Yeah.
I agree. But when you and I think that those are absolutely things that we need to be critical of Miller Moss. And if you're going to say that he needs to be benched, again, I don't know that it's going to change anything, but that's the evidence to use, right? I don't think Miller Moss not bringing the team down with 53 seconds left in the game is evidence to bench Miller Moss. Did Caleb Williams lead I'm asking genuinely. Did Caleb Williams lead SC on a miraculous drive at the end of the game in his career in the final minute. The only thing I can come close to,
Oregon State.
I mean, Arizona. They missed the field. They missed the field goal, but he puts SC in position to kick the field goal, which is botched because of that snap. Right. Oregon State, yes, but Oregon, yeah, I guess Oregon State. I guess what I'm saying is
my biggest
Utah didn't happen. There was I'm not saying that Caleb Williams. I'm not comparing. I'm saying that those are hard situations.
Yes,
most quarterbacks are like. It's a hard situation to have the ball with 50 seconds left and drive the length of the field and score a touchdown like you would need against Minnesota. You're good. Like the fail rate is extremely high.
Right, but
that's not the reason to say that Miller Moss sucks.
No. But this is my point though. When you're in these situations 5 times and 4 out of 5 times you are the problem.
Sure. Yeah.
Then that's a problem. But beyond that, like against Michigan, against Penn State, even against Minnesota, because their what did we say? Their pass defense was like one of the best in the country.
Yeah.
So against those 3 teams, I get it. I wasn't judging Miller Moss too harshly, but Maryland's pass defense has been terrible all year.
Which is why that game's the outlier.
And in this game, this is why this game stands out to me as the biggest failure, because not only does Miller Moss not get the job done when USC needs him at the end, but the reason USC is in this situation for me is because Miller Moss's limitations on offense, which are we've known for the whole time. He doesn't have an arm.
Yeah.
He doesn't have an arm that can go deep. That doesn't need to doom you. Quarterbacks who don't have the big arm are able to be successful all the time. But frankly, if he has a bigger arm and puts the ball out in front of Jacoby Lane or Deuce Robinson or any one of those deep throws that USC tries,
right,
they're off to the races. They have separation.
They were there in the first half, yeah.
Yes. So by missing those throws, even if you sort of say Deuce Robinson should have caught that, but you're limiting the even if Deuce Robinson makes one of those tough catches, you're still only getting 20 yards when you could get 40 if you put him off to the races.
Right.
So if you're going to give up those kinds, like you concede that you can't get those kinds of plays, that's a much, much, much bigger problem if you are also throwing an interception at the end of the game and not being efficient at the end of the game, and throwing the letting the other team back in the game because of your mistake.
Yeah,
that's my issue with Miller Moss. Not that he should be leading USC to victory on each one of these drives. Like I said, the second to last drive, USC, when they try to run the ball gets stuffed or the offensive line gives up immediate pressure, and it's like, okay, I don't think that's on Miller Moss that these drives are failing, but it is on Miller Moss that USC didn't score 14 points off of at least a few, 2 of those deep shots that were available and they couldn't hit. Because this is the sad thing, that you never really want to say, because USC isn't in this situation all that much. But if USC and Maryland swapped quarterbacks in this game, Billy Edwards makes those throws, and that's the problem.
I hear what you're saying there. I don't know that I'd go that far. But so one little thought, and I like transitioning to different segues and whatnot. You mentioned the ineffectiveness or the inefficiency of Miller Moss on those last drives. He was 12 for 25, you said?
12 for 25 on the 4 one-score drives, games that USC has lost.
Yeah, the 1-minute drills, essentially, right?
Yeah.
He's not efficient there. You don't have to be. You don't have to be efficient on those drives.
You just got to get in the end zone.
You just got to get in the end zone. You just got to score.
And he hasn't.
And this is the perfect segue to talk about the defense, which I've done a bunch of deep dives into the defense. I was literally up at 4 a.m. last night, spending like an hour pulling up stats and like trying to make sense of a YouTube comment that we got, which I'll go into right now. And I swear there's a parallel to the efficiency thing at the end. YouTube comment from Tony Chung. No one's talking about how bad the defense is playing. Same patterns of missed tackles and players out of positions like they were the last few years. Increasing concerns about Denton Lynn as well. We cannot make any 4th and long stops all effing year. Zero pressure on quarterbacks. Teams are almost 100% on fourth and longs this year. It's pathetic. Okay. Yeah, I in most of those things, I don't disagree. Yeah. Well, let's look into it. SC is 85th in the country on fourth down defense, 57.9%. 85th is not good, right? Under Grinch, they were worse. Last year, SC was 110th at 60.7%. They were 118th in 2022 at 65.5%. That's bad on 4th downs. Let's talk about 3rd downs for a second, because USC ranks 3rd in the country at 25.3% conversion rate defensively. That is up from being 109th last year and the year before. Each of Grinch's 2 seasons, it was 109th SC was on 3rd downs. They weren't getting 3rd down stops. This year, their 3rd down stops are incredible. 25.3 is insane. Like, I don't think people realize that this is a historically insane rate.
Yeah.
Like, and mind you, the sample size is significantly bigger. They've faced 4 times the number of 3rd down plays to 4th down plays. CFB stats only goes back to 2016 now, which is very frustrating.
I hate
but
that.
Obviously, the season's not over, so this is just for context of what that 25.3% means. Take that for what it's worth. In that time that CFB Stats has all their archives up through 2016, only 3 teams in college football. That's 130 teams times 8 or 9, whatever, how many seasons it is, right? Only 3 teams have finished the season with a better 3rd down defense conversion rate than what USC is allowing right now. 2022 Marshall, 2016 Southern Miss, and 2016 Michigan. I went to USC's official stats. They have 3rd down rates going all the way back to 1997. If the season ended today, which, again, it does not, but if it did, SC's 25.3% conversion defense on 3rd downs would be the lowest of any USC defense in that time frame. In USCTrojans.com's historic statistics. Lower than the 2008 team, they were at 27.7. Lower than 2004 that won a national championship, 27.8. Lower than 2002, Pete Carroll's first great team, 27.6. Lower than all of them. This is a historically insanely great 3rd down defense as it stands, which makes it mind-boggling. How are they so good on 3rd down, and how are they so bad on 4th down? It makes no logical sense, right? Well, I think there's 3 basic theories here. The three basic thoughts. A, Denton Lynn, his ability to call the right defense dwindles drastically. Like, there's something that happens in the 45 seconds to go from 3rd down to 4th down that it's inconceivable for him to call a 4th down defense when he's very good at calling the 3rd down defense. That's option A. Maybe that's the case. Option B, USC players' ability to execute, whether it be, making mistakes, dealing with pressure, composure, etc. Just like option A, maybe that just drastically dwindles in the 45 seconds it takes to get from 3rd down to 4th down for some reason. I don't know why. Or C, offenses having more cracks at a 1st down leads to shorter distances to gain and a higher conversion rate on 4th down. When coupled with like the small sample size on 4th down and 3rd down, maybe SC is just unlucky. Those are the 3 basic theories. So I tried to go deeper into these basic theories, right? okay, so what's the normal differential? Because SC is 32 percentage points different on their fourth down and their third down rates. Their third down rate is 32% lower than their fourth down rate, right? National average on third down is 37.8% conversion rate. USC is 12.5 percentage points better than that. National average on fourth down defense is 52.5. SC is only 5.4% worse than that. The overall national differential is 14.7 percentage points. But again, SC is at 32.5. 18th worse in the FBS. Of all the teams that have a differential on third down and fourth down, SC is the 18th worst with their differential. But like, what does that mean? I don't know what it means. Alabama's differential is worse. Theirs is 37.8%. In part because they're 120th in FBS on fourth down defense at 70.6. Of the 22 teams that are actually better on fourth down versus third down, that list includes undefeated Indiana. They're at plus 12.6. They're better on fourth versus third. Undefeated Army, plus 6.7. They're better on fourth versus third. But so is 2-5 UCLA, who has the second best differential from third down to fourth down at plus 21.6. Mostly because they're just like god awful on third down and they've just been like relatively good on fourth down, but very small sample size. So again, this stuff is all over the board. This is a lot of math to basically say that things are all over the place. I don't know what that number means. So going back to those three theories, I don't think that SC is unlucky on fourth down. I do not think that. Because they're 5.4 percentage points off the national average. Like, yeah, SC is 85th in the country on fourth down, but like they're at 57% and the national average is 52%.
Margins are small.
Like that's not huge when they've only faced I think it's 19 fourth down opportunities. Like that's literally like one opportunity, right? That discrepancy is not abnormal, especially given the sample size, right? Where SC's defense is unlucky is how many times teams are going for it on fourth down in critical situations, wiping away what would have been stops earlier in the game because SC is so good on third down. This defense is, again, historically good at forcing punts on third downs. But that only means so much when SC has a lead late and teams can't afford to punt. All those drives that SC has given up points at the end, those teams could not punt. They had to go for it on fourth down. And when you consider that in the fourth quarter alone, and this is probably the most batshit stat that I've ever seen in my life, USC opponents in the fourth quarter, I'm not making this, like this is dead. Look this up yourself if you don't believe me. USC opponents are 4 for 23 on third down. And SC is 3 and 4. They are 4 for 23 on third down. And SC is 3 and 4. Because the opponents are 6 of 8 on fourth down. So they're very bad on fourth down. All of this to say, I think just like the Miller Moss issue about his lack of efficiency in the last minute of the game, you know what the fix for this is? Don't be in that situation. Don't be in that situation. Like, bury teams earlier, put them away in the third quarter, and you don't have to be in that like last minute drive on offense or defense. Bury them earlier, and they don't have to go through these fourth downs all the time that improve an offense's chance to pick up for a first down because they have more opportunities. They probably gain more yards and all that stuff. Like, bury them earlier.
Yes.
Like be better earlier in the game. And then I think the other thing is, I think this is all proof for the people that say that you should never punt. Like, this is the case for why you should never punt.
This is the case
for why you should never punt, because third downs don't matter if you're gonna make it a 4-down game. Unfortunately for SC, they don't matter. Like,
and
you can be historically great on third downs and it doesn't matter.
You talk about the national average giving up fourth downs is pretty high. Like, it's I mean, obviously it's a low sample size because most teams don't go for it on fourth down.
It's 52%.
But All of this is to say, I think this all backs up what I think is the very frustrating truth about this team. As Rama Murdy in the chat says, this team lacks killer instincts. I mean, it does kind of boil down to that, because you asked the question on Saturday, is this the best bad team you've ever seen or the worst good team?
Yeah.
And I think we have an answer. This is the worst good team that you've ever seen in your life, because objectively, if you look at all of the statistical measures, whether you're looking at FEI, SP+, FPI, USC is statistically a top 20 team right now. USC offensively, this offense that people think is the worst thing that they've ever seen, that's an embarrassment to all things offense, is ranked 19th nationally.
Yeah.
Now, is it up to the standards of a Lincoln Riley offense? No. But standards of a Lincoln Riley offense are absolutely absurd to be top 10 every year. That's why I think it's absurd that people talk about, like, Lincoln Riley needs to give up play calling. Like, no, absolutely he does not. The defense, this defense that we can all agree is not getting the stops that USC needs, that's frustrating as all hell. They rank 31st nationally. And like you pointed out,
29th in FEI.
This is my ranks are in FPI, for the record. This is a good team statistically. So why are they 3-4? Why do they have a bad record? Unfortunately, the only conclusion I can come to is what I said on Saturday night, and I feel bad because this is harsh, and I don't want this to come off as harsh, and I don't want it to be seen as like rebuking the players who I know care and want to win more than anybody out there. But this team has a mental problem. This team, whether it's, I mean, defensively, it could be just those remnants of the Grinch stink mentality is still there.
Yeah.
The offense maybe still scarred by the here we go again of it all. Lack of trust in the offensive line. Yeah, maybe the quarterback is mentally broken because of how many hits he's taken. I think that's a perfectly understandable place to be in.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes down to it, the reason this team doesn't win games is because they have some block in their head that is preventing them from winning games in a way that we know they can get those stops, because they get those stops on third down.
Yeah.
The plays that they're facing on third down and fourth down are not different plays.
Right. And they tackle well on third down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and this is why it's frustrating, because again, these are intangible things. And I know people in the chat are going to be like, well, they lose because they have Lincoln Riley. Well, yes.
I mean, Lincoln Riley is responsible for the intangibles. That's absolutely. A perfectly fair.
Yes, but like, he's responsible for the intangibles. The problem is, I don't know how you fix the intangibles. I don't know how how do you do that? I have no idea. I'm a logical, scientific, logical person. I don't know how to fix the intangible parts of it. I have no idea.
If you and I had the answer to this, we'd be
geniuses.
A hell of a lot richer than we are.
Right. Richer? Are we rich? I don't know.
Okay, you and I. Do you want me to say less poor than we are?
Well, maybe. But you know what I mean? Yeah, it's these things are intangibles, and that is frustrating because, I think the problem is coaching, because intangibles are a result of coaching.
Yeah, attitude reflects leadership.
Yes, and so it all points back to Lincoln Riley, but again, the problem for me goes to, okay. And then what exact area does he need to get better in? And I don't know. Like, it's, you just need to learn how to win. Okay, how do you learn how to win?
Yeah.
I don't know how to do that. How do you learn how to, not beat pucker butt in the fourth quarter. I don't know. I have no idea.
Well, and as Iliam says in the chat, the issue is that Riley doesn't know either, and we pay him $11 million for that. I mean, that's definitely an issue. But this is also why I think that people who say like the rest of the season doesn't matter are completely wrong, because the rest of the season is where USC, if they're going to learn how to win, the rest of the season is where you're going to do it. And that's why I think that they should just do the quarterback change, because you're never going to find out if Jaden Mayava has it unless you give him a chance to go out there and prove it. And if he goes out there and proves that he doesn't have it, then you've now answered a question about what you need to do at quarterback for next year, because you need to go find somebody. Danton Lynn has 5 games to figure out how to get his defense to believe that they can get these stops.
Yeah.
Because right now they don't believe.
Yeah.
He's got 5 games to figure it out.
Yeah.
And if he does figure it out, then we're looking at a very different 2025 prospect than right now. And again, the way I'm looking at things is I know that fans will just say that Lincoln Riley needs to go. Well, I am being pragmatic and honest. Lincoln Riley is not going anywhere. So there's no point for me to sit here and say, well, USC solves this by getting rid of the coach. Well, USC is not getting rid of the coach. That's not the solution. So what is the solution? The rest of this season is incredibly important for whether or not we are sitting here next year saying the same things and just biding the time until the buyout can happen.
And, you talk about coaching, and this defensive side of the ball is coached very well. Like we talked about before, like almost all the people on this coaching staff, with the exception of Danton Lynn, because he's young and doesn't have the resume yet, just about everybody is overqualified for their position.
Yeah.
This is a like, in the video game, there's the coach prestige, and your coach prestige can go up based on the coordinators you hire, right? And I know that Danton Lynn's individual coaching prestige is not that high because he's young. He doesn't have the body of work. But everybody else is very high. Like Anderson, very high. Belk, high. Entz, high. You know what I mean? Like,
well, that's why
this defensive coaching staff is like, this is a well-coached defense, and they're still not getting the stops. Like, that's the frustrating part.
And this defense certainly, the defensive line has more limitations as a defensive line because of personnel than Miller Moss is a quarterback with his arm. All of that kind of stuff. Like that's definitely an issue. So you're always going to be limited in what you can do defensively because of that. And there's not really anything you can do about it. But you can get the brain trust together and figure out how to get out of these situations, or try to find a way to not get in these situations. I have a recommendation I just thought of. You won't get this reference, Michael, but a lot of the folks at home will. USC needs to gather the team together, have them each bring something of importance to the Coliseum field. In the center of the Coliseum field, there needs to be...
Is this like some Catholic school thing?
In the center of the Coliseum field, there needs to be a barrel. And inside that barrel needs to be some wood and some lighter fluid, and somebody needs to be ready with a match. And each player on this team needs to go out and throw the thing that they need to into that barrel, and they need to burn it in the same way that Ted Lasso exorcised his team.
I'm glad.
In Ted Lasso.
I'm glad it's Ted Lasso, and we weren't talking about making a murderer.
As Dale Weiss says, a suggestion box. Yeah, why not? Let's do it. A suggestion box.
Yeah. All right, but before we get to over under in the mailbag, West Texas Mike said the offense ain't putting up enough goddamn points to say here we go again. Put up some points in all camp. Yeah, like that's the thing too. Like we talked about it last year. SC was so good on offense the last 2 years. Like they were very good on offense the last 2 years, but they were very good in a productive way, in the points per game way. There were nitpicks all the way through, absolutely, but they were very good in the being explosive and scoring a lot of points, right? And we just said if they only had a 24-point defense with that offense, you're gonna win just about every game.
Mm-hmm.
SC's got that defense, and now they're not scoring that many points because they keep making silly mistakes.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
They gotta. I don't know. They need to. They need to look inward and figure it out. And I don't know. In the football movies, this is the point where they'd have the team meeting. Oh, here's another suggestion. Let's have them all run to Gettysburg. And maybe that'll do it. Or have a team meeting where they come out. Let's have them have a team meeting where they come up with a song and dance clappy thing that they do during warm-ups.
Another yard.
They do the remember the Titans little clap warm-up, hoo-ha, and whatever it takes. I don't know what it is. But somebody's got to do something.
I just took that off the board. Wait, hold on. No, it's still here.
Show me something.
Show the fans something.
Yeah, there it goes. I love that call.
And this is why like maybe closing practice to the media. Maybe. I'm not endorsing this, but my feeling coming out of the last game is if USC, a lot of coaches will say, we got to be business as usual. Business as usual. This is the week that USC needs to say, not business as usual. We are doing something different because what we've been doing is not working. Change it up. Do something different. You know.
So
Pete Carroll would have them out there playing basketball on the football field instead of practicing.
Right. Well,
like something.
So you say the closing practice thing down. See, this is, again, going back to the right for the wrong reasons thing. If SC turns this around, people will be like, yeah, because, man, Ryan Karchi couldn't be out there watching Quentin Joyner do jumping jacks. That's why SC's like, that is insane. Like, that's an insane thought to have. But I'm not talking about this politically. There's no political thought here. But it's one of my favorite quotes of the year. And like, I understand the quote, but it's like insane to think about, but I understand it. It was the New York mayor, and the New York mayor was asked about like crime. And it's like, all the data says that the crime is not up. Like, it's not up. Crime in New York is not up. And he's like, well, it doesn't matter that it's not up. If people think it's up, then it's up. And like, this is one of those things where like, closing off practice does not matter. Like, that is not a reason why, like,
that's not what solves USC's problem.
Ed Ogeron having cookies
is not what solved USC's problem.
That's not going to solve USC's problems.
No.
On the other hand, if you need to trick your mind and warp your brain into a different dimension to where you think that that's what did it, I guess more power to you. More power to you, I guess. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, all right, let's get to over under. We got to run through these quick because we do got a decent sized mailbag.
So you're going over. I'm feeling bold. Give me that over.
I'll go under. I got to take an under here. I got 3 unders to take.
I'm going to do an under here.
All right. Over under. First over under. You said over under 50.5 Maryland fourth down conversion percentage. I took the under. It was under. It was literally 50%.
See, this is what I get for not making it 49.5. This is what I get.
You would have been a genius. You would have been so many of these lines again. Like this is probably like angry. Not even that big of a deal, but like it tickles me when our lines end up being right about it, right on. My first one was over under 3.5 tackles for loss. You took the over. It was over 6. SC forced negative plays in this game. They even had things called sacks. You ever heard of that?
Yeah, but I still think one of the biggest issues for USC's defense overall, and certainly at the end of games, is that USC gets no pressure unless they're bringing blitzes. And that opens up the secondary to be more vulnerable. And if a quarterback isn't impacted by those blitzes, especially when those blitzes don't actually get that much pressure, you're putting a lot of strain on your defense. Still, 7 games in the season, no defensive lineman who was on the starting lineup for a game has recorded a sack.
Yeah. Your second over-under was 6.5, 20-plus yard gains through the air for the Trojans. I took the under. It was under. It was 4. The SC wins the game if that over hits.
This over-under was my litmus test for this game. It is unacceptable to be under. Unacceptable to be that, not just under, but that far under.
Yeah, Maryland was 119th nationally, dead last in the Big Ten at giving up big pass plays. This is why they threw the ball so much against Maryland, because Maryland's bad at defending the pass, and SC couldn't take enough advantage of it. Here we go. Over under 141.7, Miller Moss's passer rating. You took the over, Alicia, it was 140.2.
Pain. But I will say, substantively, I deserve to lose this one because I took the over because I expected a big day for Miller Moss because of the vulnerable pass defense, and he did not take advantage.
It's the pick. He soars by that if it's not for the pick. Statistically, the way the passer rating works. Interceptions are like a huge, gigantic penalty.
Yeah.
Let's go to your last one was 6.5 plus 6.5. USC's fourth quarter differential. I took the under. It was under. It was -8. Yikes.
And that's the problem. USC's fourth quarter differential all season has been negative, and you just can't win games like that. Certainly against teams like Maryland.
Yeah. Last one, I said 5.5 USC rushes of 10 plus. You took the under. It was under. It was 3.
Yeah, and I took the under just because I felt like that was a lot, and because I expected USC to be more explosive through the air and thus having fewer opportunities for explosive runs. But
yeah.
Yeah.
For the week, I went 4-2. Yeah. Love that. Hold on.
Have to commend you, Michael.
Yeah, thank you. You went 2-4. My record is now 23-19.
Have to commend you, Michael.
Michael was right.
Sorry, I keep pressing these all day. And you're 19-23. Leaders of the week, big ups to Trevor M, Tofu Garcia, and Sea-Dog. All went 5-1. No perfect
scores.
No perfect entries this week. Leaders for the season, Jensen SC11 in sole possession of first place now. Jensen went 3-3 this past week, and they're now 30-12. Scotty C went 4-2, and now is at 29-13. And then there's a tie for third place between Trevor M and Pickle at 28-14. And I tell you, you and I have a weird relationship with pickles. Not with Pickle. Pickle's great. With pickles, the plural. Pickles, very bad. Pickle, we love Pickle. But Pickle is in a pickle because Pickle went 0 for 0 this week. 0 for 6 because Pickle didn't do the picks. What are we doing, Pickle?
Come on, Pickle.
Come on. Third place, though. Only 2 games back. That's what happens when you have a great, first half of the season. Vegas spread was SC -7. SP Plus projection was SC 31-26. FEI said 33-22 SC. You said 37-20, and I said 30-21, and we're all wrong. We're all wrong. SC lost.
Were you wrong, though?
Well, I mean, I would have been 1 point off if they would have made the field goal and the game would have ended right there.
Was I wrong to expect USC to score 37 points and Maryland to be held to 20 points? I don't think so, personally.
No, I got you. All right, let's go to the mailbag, shall we?
You've got mail.
All right, let's start with the mailbag here and go to a voicemail we got from our good pal, Dan in Valley Village. Sorry, Fred first. We'll go to Dan next. Fred first.
Hey, Rain of Troy, this is LA Fred calling. Well, I thought I'd start by leaving you a little bit of wisdom. Once is a mistake, twice is a coincidence, thrice is a pattern, 4 times is a damn trend. USC is clearly in the midst of that losing trend right now. They're 3-4 this year, 5-9 over the last 14 games combined. I don't care if you're in the Pac-12, the Big Ten, or playing in the damn public school library conference. That is completely unacceptable for USC. Something needs to change because what's currently happening is not working. Now, we all know Riley's had success mostly everywhere he's been, so he likely figured what he's done in the past is going to continue to work. I really believe that he thinks, hey, I'm Lincoln Bleepin' Riley, and I know what the hell I'm doing. Well, based on the last 2 years of evidence, I think we could certainly call that into question. A spark is needed on this team and largely in the entire program to get things turned around. I just hope Riley can be the one to provide that spark and put aside his stubborn pride. Have a good week, everybody. Fight on, everybody.
I love how Fred hits the fight on, everybody.
Fred's great.
That little Arbogast.
And he's correct. 100%.
Yeah, they need a spark. They need something. They need something.
Show me something. Show the fans something.
Yeah. Dan in Valley Village.
Hey, Rain of Troy, it's Dan calling from Valley Village. I've let the game wash over me for a couple hours, and then I decided to call because I was too angry to call before. And I think I've pinpointed my feeling towards this team now. I have been a lifelong Cleveland Browns fan. Yes, I know, I'm a masochist. All my life, and I have gotten to the point with the Browns where I am going with zero expectations. In fact, I go in thinking that they'll probably lose. And when they win, I get to celebrate even more because I didn't expect it. And I thought that they were going to do terrible, and they actually pulled something out. I have to admit, I kind of feel like that's the way I have to treat this team. This team now, I don't think we should have any expectation. I don't think that they're, A, have deserved it, and B, are capable of living up to it. I just don't think it's possible. They can't close it out. They can't seem to be consistent. And it's both on the players and the coaches. This game was really pathetic and sad, and they had the game and they snatched defeat from the jaws of victory. And after this loss, I think I hope we can win 2 or 3 more? Question mark? What do you guys have as the reevaluation of the win-loss this year now? Anyway, still love you guys. That will never stop. Fight on.
Thanks for the call, Dan. We love you too, bud. Before we get to the win-loss thing, Alicia, do we need to channel 2019?
Be dead inside?
Is this a dead inside situation?
Yeah, I think
we should make rot shirts that just say dead inside.
Yeah. You have 2 options as a USC fan right now. Be dead inside, if you have to be. That works.
Mm-hmm.
Or do as I plan to do, which is seek the silver linings. So when I watch USC, I'm going to try to focus on how much I enjoy Woody Marks and how much I enjoy Mekhi Lemon and how much I enjoy Eddie Saplicki and what good things there are to see, and try to let the frustrating bad stuff roll off my shoulders because I sort of expect it now.
Yeah.
But to focus on what's fun about football while we still have it for this fall.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. Win-loss stuff. This is the $1 million question. I genuinely, SC can win every game that's on their schedule.
Flip a coin.
And genuinely, they can lose every game that's on their schedule.
Yep.
Given how this season has gone, every single one, just assume it's going to the last minute. I don't know that we can make a win-loss prediction because if SC's 8-4 or 4-8 or whatever it is, like I would just be at this point, I mean, yeah. Anything's possible at this point. Anything's possible. And that's not a good thing because you don't want anything to be possible. All right, let's go to some emails. We got a bunch of emails. We'll get back to the calls after. Email from Tony. Michael and Alicia, this is Tony from Denora, PA. I still have confidence in Lincoln, but no doubt it's wavering after that performance. Him leaving in any fashion will set this program back for years because I don't believe SC will sign another coach to a big contract like the one that they gave Lincoln. I don't believe they will fire him, but I'm afraid it's the Dallas Cowboys head coaching position opens up. He could jump at it and leave SC. Then the roller coaster begins of losing recruits left and right. The fans are calling for him to be fired, but I just don't get it. Who's going to replace him? Pete Carroll, Nick Saban, Kirby Smart ain't coming through that door. P.S. I'm a very disappointed SC fan right now. Fight on, Tony and Denora, PA. I'm with you. I'm
gonna be honest. Here's the thing. Unless USC is very stupid, which is entirely possible given the way the program has been run recently, anyone who wants to come and hire Lincoln away will also have to pay a buyout. And I do not see anyone paying a buyout going the other way with things going as they currently are going.
The Cardinals hired
Cliff
Kingsbury, who didn't have a smidgen of the accomplishments in college football that Lincoln Riley does.
Right, but the Cardinals
so I think
don't
anything
have to
is
pay,
possible.
The Cardinals don't have to pay $70 million to get, or whatever $1 million to get.
Famously, they had to pay nothing.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
No, I hear you. Yes, I agree. I do think that I don't think Lincoln Riley should be fired. If there was a world in which he took the Cleveland Browns job tomorrow, I don't know that SC will be set back for years because I think the athletic department is significantly in a better place now than it was 3 years ago. And I think that is important.
I mean, realistically, what you do there, I don't know. I don't know exactly what you do. It depends on who, this weird hypothetical, who he takes. But there's also a weirdly simple solution where you just promote at Matt Entz on a temporary basis, and then
I hate that.
And then just go to town.
That's what they did with Clay Helton. And
Yeah.
I'm not saying that Matt Entz is Clay Helton. I'm just saying I don't like the internal hire just for the sake of it. The other thing about Tony said I don't believe that they will pay another coach. I disagree. That's the people get mad about the $10-11 million, whatever it is.
That's the going rate.
That's the going rate. If you want a good coach, that's what you got to pay. I'm that's what it is.
Also, by the way, and this is going to be the really interesting thing. College football is definitely, Pablo Torre finds out did a good episode on this. College football is trending towards having director of personnel, GM kind of person. And that means that head coaches are going to become less important, more like what happens in the NFL where you have a GM and a head coach. If USC ends up hiring a GM, which they should, then the head coach thing becomes slightly easier to navigate.
Yeah, for sure. And don't hire a GM who is named Keyshawn Johnson. Or,
yes.
Sam Darnold.
Yes.
Or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Don't do the traditional SC thing. All right. Brian says, I guess grounding wasn't called if it's the team against USC. I think this is referring to the game against Maryland in which Billy Edwards. I thought it was grounding. I still
don't know why that's grounding. I don't understand how they define the tackle box because it seems to always not be straightforward the way that they determine where the tackle box is. He was outside of the tackle box for me, but I don't know.
You know what people say? I don't know what a catch is. I don't know what the tackle box is. I genuinely because it gets called different things in different places. Yeah. His throw did reach the line of scrimmage, so there was that aspect. So that he did enough there, but I thought it was grounding too. Email from Alex Polk, our good buddy Alex Polk. Long time no see. Alicia and Michael, first time, long time. It's Alex in sunny Sacramento. First off, I've never missed writing cheers and cheers for rot.com like I have this season. Trust me, a lot to say there, huh? So much frustration, but completely predictable if you understand the depths of the rebuild that SC had in front of them when Riley got to town. Also, for the record, I was really hoping SC would be 5-2 and could be more of a thought experiment of an early reckoning with the future of the program, but here we are. When the media was covering the fallout of Riley joining USC, Bomani Jones mentioned something that has been nibbling in the back of my mind, and that is how difficult it is to get the size of the staff and the quality of the staff at a place like USC. He thought Riley might struggle, not because he's not a good coach, but because you can't do what Saban did at Alabama and what Sark does at Texas, because essentially a decent to great assistant salary in Oklahoma will put you below the poverty line in LA. Do you think that's a factor? Maybe that's why it feels like things are slipping through the cracks, because there's not a sheer amount of staff. If you do believe it factors into, to a degree, like NIL plays a part in why USC is having recruiting losses, how does it get fixed? The last thing is the quarterback situation. Alicia, your defense about Miller Moss earlier in the season, I 100% agreed with. Miller Moss is a pretty damn good quarterback, and if he was at a school like Texas or even LSU, would probably be in the Heisman conversation right now. But with USC's offensive line issues, the wide receivers being good but not great at separating against man coverage, you need a quarterback who's a dynamic running threat, not just a mobile threat. And now I trust Riley to do what's best. But seeing how Penn State just sat close in man coverage and how Maryland started flying off the edge against the GT pool running plays in the second half, I think a running threat like Mailbag diffuses some of that. But what do you guys think? I'll hang up and listen. Appreciate the pod and all the work that you do. Alex, P.S. He goes on to say that, you know, he's been sending me like a bunch of like accidental requests in EAFC, aka FIFA. I thought they were hilarious, dude. Like I thought it was funny. Maybe I'll play clubs. I don't know. I've never played clubs. Love Rush though.
No,
Rush.
We're a Rush household now.
Rush rules. That absolutely banks. But all right. First thing, the discrepancy of money in LA and Oklahoma.
For staffing, I don't think that's a factor. I think NIL, it's clear that USC has had to pick and choose what bucket they're going to put NIL money in, and that is a limiting factor compared to some other programs that don't have to choose. They just throw money everywhere. But when it comes to assistants, it would seem to me that USC has been given a pretty large war chest there and has expanded the overall staff considerably. So I think that that's not necessarily why USC is in this spot.
Yeah, I agree, and I don't know. I don't think it's a thing that is that huge. But yeah, how do you fix it? Like everything else, win, and those things don't become a problem. But obviously, you want more staff and all of that. And yeah, I think your points about Miller Moss are all there. Yeah, I don't know that it's, again, I don't know that it's going to be a big change, but
the fact is Mailbag isn't an upgrade on Miller Moss unless he can throw the ball. It's not the running stuff only does so much unless he can reliably, accurately, and safely throw the ball. It's which I'm here to find. I'm ready to find out.
Yeah. All right. Email from Judy. Alicia, I meant to send this earlier. Sorry for my mean email last week. My anger was high, and I hated that you were right. The team did look good last week. Also, I felt like that nerdy kid who gets all mad at the teacher when she's yelling at the whole class, even though the whole class didn't act up. Not saying I didn't act up, but I'm sorry. To quote Kyle Ford, I was tripping. FTFO, always, Judy. We love you, Judy.
We love you, Judy. We totally understood. As I said in an email back, like I was acting up too. It's all good.
Yeah. All right. We got more calls, and more emails. I think we're gonna hold off some to Wednesday. But before we do that, I wanted to play this one. I don't know if you know this guy, but let's play this one.
Hello, Michael and Alicia, calling you live from Costco. A couple hours after the game. You're probably mid-rant right now. God bless you, Alicia D'Artola. Hey, guys, UCLA, USC, identical records in the Big Ten. Not quite in the cellar, I guess, right? But, hey, this is fun, isn't it? Make it stop, please. Go Bruins.
Thanks, Jake. You can, of course, listen over at the What's Bruin show, second What's Bruin show.
See, what's funny about Jake mentioning that is like he couldn't have trolled us harder if he tried than pointing out that USC and UCLA have the same record in the Big Ten.
Yeah. I think we're gonna wrap it up there. We got, like I said, we got really good calls that I want to get to. We've just been going on pretty long, and we've got other stuff to go. So we will be back Wednesday. So come back for more mailbag stuff on Wednesday, and previewing Rutgers, I believe the first ever game between SC and Rutgers on a Friday night with nothing in LA happening. So get ready for that. 8 p.m. Friday night. SC and Rutgers will preview it on Wednesday at 4 p.m. Pacific, as we always do here on YouTube. Thanks, everybody, for joining. Alicia, final word? Anything?
I don't know.
Sure?
Sure.
Cool.
Cool.
All right, bye.
All right, bye.
See ya.
See ya.